Time to pull up a chair. We've got another great story for you today in the rLounge. You know the type. The exes who act like they still have total access to your life, and the so-called friends who want what they can't have and will do anything to get it. Today in the rLounge, they'll take you for all they can get. Up first, breaking up is hard enough, but some people don't just take your heart. They ask for a ride home, gas money, and maybe a snack for the road. My girlfriend, 23 female, broke up with me, 27 male, last week, but she still expects me to give her a ride home for Thanksgiving. Prior to breaking up last Wednesday, my girlfriend, 23 female, and I, 27 male, had been together for just over 3 years. Up until this past August, she lived in Georgia, about 2 hours away from where I was living in South Carolina. In August, she moved up to New York for graduate school, and in order to be closer to her, I found a job and moved to DC. Things had been a bit rough in the months leading up to August, and the stress of moving and starting grad school, a new job, certainly didn't help things. Given the rough few months we had, she was left questioning whether or not she still wanted to be in a relationship with me. She voiced her uncertainty to me on the phone last Monday and expressed to me that she had a strong desire to go out and have some experiences with other men, to go on dates and see what else was out there. I told her this wasn't at all what I wanted, that I wanted to work through these hard times together. She responded by saying if she didn't go out and have these experiences, even if things improved, she would always regret it, and that's where we left things. When we spoke the next day, she decided she wanted to come down to South Carolina and spend a few days with me for Thanksgiving break before returning home to visit her family. There was one catch, though. On Friday the 17th, I'm driving from DC to South Carolina on the 16th for my birthday Thanksgiving break. I was going to have to drive 2 hours from my home in South Carolina to pick her up from the airport in North Carolina, and then 2 hours back. The following Monday, I would have to drive her 2 hours from home to take her to Georgia to be with her family, and 2 hours back. Then Sunday after Thanksgiving, I'd have to go 2 hours out of my way and pick her back up in Georgia, and then have her ride with me all the way back to DC, where she would fly to New York. At this point, I voiced my confusion given the conversation from the previous day. She said she thought one positive experience together could really turn things around, and that she wanted to give it a shot. She had the flight up and ready to book, and there was only one seat left, so despite my voicing my desire to talk things out first, she went ahead and booked it. The next day, I tried to talk to her about her desire to date other men, and about how we could improve our relationship and work through the rough time we had been having, and it ultimately led to her breaking up with me. Since then, we haven't had all that much communication. She has ignored most of my texts, and the ones she has responded to, she's been rather rude and mean. I pointed this out, and her response was, "It's unreasonable for you to expect us to be friendly right now. It's too soon." Which, honestly, I understand. She's right. Then, she texts me and tells me that she still needs me to pick her up and take her home, and that she still needs to ride with me back to DC. She doesn't have the money to change her flight, and she doesn't have anyone else to pick her up. I told her I didn't feel I owed her that, as she broke up with me. She pointed out that I had committed to coming, which I most certainly had. I asked her if I was willing to come, if she would be able to set aside her anger for a few hours and be friendly, and she said she would do her best to be cordial. But being friendly was too much to ask. She said she would sit in the back and work the whole ride. My question is, do I still owe it to her to go and pick her up? Would it be selfish of me to tell her she needed to work this out on her own? I really don't want to leave her stranded, but I don't feel this is really my responsibility anymore. What do I do here? Too long didn't read. My girlfriend broke up with me and still expects me to give her a ride to and from the airport, and I'm not sure what to do. Not sure what to do, eh? Let's check with a relevant comment or two, see what they have to say. First, don't drive her. She can get an Uber or Lyft. She broke up with you and doesn't want to get back together. She's saying things like, "This experience might bring me back to you or might make our relationship better," is a manipulation tactic to get you to drive her around. Don't fall for it. Next up, exactly. Yet, she doesn't want to talk to him or sit in the front seat the whole way there and back? Yeah, an experience like that would definitely bring you two closer. Shake my head. The next opinion, she could take a bus from Charlotte to Georgia. It's not that hard. She can also take a bus from Georgia to DC. It sounds very entitled and literally told you that she will try to be cordial while treating you like her personal chauffeur. Just say no. Someone else says, it's insane, right? How does OP not realize he's being used here? She literally hasn't offered gas, any expenses, doesn't care that he won't be able to rest properly during break because of driving her. And she still has the nerve to tell him she won't be friendly the whole ride. Jesus, dude, get out of this relationship ASAP. The OP updated the next day, November 12th, 2017. Same post. Update. Whoa, I was not expecting this many replies. Thank you all so much for your input. It is greatly appreciated. To those of you that have said I'm being a doormat, you are 100% correct. And I have been for, pretty much our entire relationship. I try my best to be kind to people regardless of how they treat me, but at some point, you have to have a little self-respect. Anyhow, I had pretty much decided not to pick her up prior to seeing all of your replies, and reading through them has solidified my decision. I just texted her saying, given the fact that you broke up with me, and that, in your own words, it's too early to expect to be friendly with one another, I'm not okay with coming to pick you up on Friday or taking you to DC on Sunday. Sitting in a car with you for 20 plus hours when you can't even be friendly with me will only make it harder for me to recover from this breakup, and I'm not willing to do that to myself. I hope you are able to find another way home, and I hope you have a wonderful Thanksgiving with your family. Sorry for any inconvenience this causes. Best of luck to you. I didn't have it in me to be rude to her, but I got the message across nonetheless. Thanks again for the replies. Y'all are awesome. A couple final comments to close this one out. Did she reply back at all? Also, good for you. The OP replies, she did not. She's usually pretty avoidant when she's upset, so I don't expect to hear anything back from her. The next person says, I will erupt, feral from the cardigan screaming. Someone else says, we should break up because I want more experiences, but I still need you to drive me back home. Wow. Wow. And one more, but don't worry, I'll sit in the back and ignore you the whole time. Nice to try, Miss Daisy. It's honestly pretty disrespectful that after breaking up with you, she still expects you to drop everything, drive hours out of your way, and act as her personal chauffeur, especially when she's made it clear that she won't even be friendly to you. She had options, buses, trains, ride shares, even asking friends or family, but instead of taking responsibility for her own plans, she's putting the burden on you, knowing you're vulnerable and still processing the breakup. You don't owe her your time, energy, or gas money, especially after she ended things and admitted that she wanted to pursue other men. Saying no isn't selfish, it's self-respect. Have you ever been in the same situation? Let us know in the comments below. Up next, the kind of situation that makes you rethink every time you've ever said, sure, mi casa es su casa. A friend of mine broke into my house, put her stuff at random places to make it look like she's been a tenant. I have a friend who called me last night asking for a place to stay. I politely told her no. She's 25, I'm 19, and I should mention she's a narcissistic witch. Today I was over at my cousin's place this morning, and when I came home a couple of hours ago, I found this witch inside my house. No signs of a break-in from the outside. I ask her how she got in, and she tells me through the back window. I tell her our neighbor gave you permission to come here, and that she needs to leave immediately. And she says, deal with it. I call the cops and tell them that there's a person who got inside my house without my permission, and that I need an officer to come and remove her. A couple of minutes later, they arrive, and here's what happens. She tells them, I know my rights, officers. I've been a legal tenant in this house for 2 months now, and you can't just remove me. I can go around and show you my clothes in the wardrobe, my toothbrush, and my conditioner in the bathroom, and all my other stuff. They take a walk with her, and all of her effing stuff is all over my house. She effing broke into my house, put her stuff all over so that the cops would think she's been a tenant. The next thing they tell me is that I have to serve her with an eviction notice, and that they can't legally remove her since she's considered a tenant. I didn't even know what to tell them, as I felt so dumbfounded and shocked I was set up like this. I was silent for a few seconds, so they try to explain how the law works to me, but since I just keep looking at them in silence, not believing myself, they just proceed to leave. I'm so effing pissed. I'm in California, so I can't even record her confessing to what she's done. If I can do that under an exception, I could easily do it because apparently she has no problem admitting to it when the cops aren't here. I'm not, however, going to do so if it will lead to more problems. I've also thought about calling 911 or the non-emergency line and telling the operator about the situation so that the call would be recorded and then make my friend confess about it. Can I do that? Me and the operator are aware of the call being recorded. I think it still would be unlawful. How do I get this witch out without having to serve her eviction notice? Isn't that against the law when what she did here? Isn't it fraud? I've thought about trying to prove that she's been living somewhere else before, but I don't know what to do. This is effed up. I'm really sorry about my language, but I'm really feeling so angry and I'm trying to be calm as much as I can while she's in my effing house using my stuff and I can't do crap about it. Thanks. Let's check with the community and see what the relevant comments have to say. First up, me and the operator are aware of the call being recorded. I think it still would be unlawful. Yes, because the person being recorded doesn't consent. How do I get this witch out without having to serve her eviction notice? If the police won't take action, eviction is all you have. The OP replied, even if I found a way to prove she wasn't living here? So what now? I can go to any of my friend's house and put my stuff there and basically live for free? If I eventually get a proof she faked this, what can I do at that point? The next person says, even if I found a way to prove she wasn't living here? It's difficult to prove a negative, especially given that she didn't have another place to stay. Still, if you believe you have that evidence, you can try the police again. But if the police don't do anything, eviction is your only option. The OP replies, so basically anyone can go break in anywhere at a friend's house and this would work? This is ridiculous. The next person says, tenants are given broad protection against being kicked out. This is a good thing. In your case, you have a situation where someone isn't a tenant but looks exactly like a tenant. That sucks, but it's an edge case. A one-off. It just doesn't happen that often. So yeah, in the extremely rare circumstance that someone breaks into your home with no damage and scatters enough stuff around to look like a tenant, you get a little boned. It sucks, but the worst thing you can do is compound it by trying to kick her out without the eviction. Next comment. I'm going to go in a completely different direction and suggest you get a protection order. The woman is dangerous and completely out of touch with reality. If I were you, I would be very, very scared. Go down to the court and fill out an order for temporary protection. The form will ask if you to live in the same house. Say no. Put in her last known address. You should get her ordered to stay away from you, and she will not be able to enter the apartment, as it will be breaking the order. If you need to call the police, you can call and tell them you have an order of protection against this person, and they will make her leave. You do not want a residence exclusion order, which requires actual violence. You want a stay away order. Update 1, December 9th, 2016, the next day. I texted one of her friends on Instagram who I know is close to her and explained what happened. She gave me her boyfriend's name on Facebook and told me to talk to him, see if he could come over and persuade her to leave. I reached him and we got on the phone a few minutes ago. He said he can come over after work and see what he can do. Is there anything I should do before he comes here? Do I start recording video? Do I call the cops instead? Do I bring in a third witness? I'm really afraid if this ever turns into a domestic violence of some sort, if any of them decides to do anything stupid. Keep in mind, I'm 19 and both of them are well over my age by a lot. Let's check in with some more relevant comments. First up, it's time to call a friend. A close one. I would propose your mom, actually. Middle-aged women often have a magic violence desalting effect on unknown quantities. The point is someone calm, very calm. You don't need another voice here, you need a witness. If all goes well, I would suggest you lock the door behind her, and this time, lock your window. The problem with that, of course, is the cops have already decided she lives there. So if she calls them claiming you locked her out, you're SOL. In these circumstances, it might be worth the risk. Can you begin accumulating evidence she did not live there as of yesterday? Call friends and family who can verify you lived alone or who can say where she lived. Instagrams of her taking pics of her place, Facebook posts where she indicates where she lives or implied it is not with you. Like, can I come over? From a few days ago would be great. Once you're done with her, don't ever talk to her again. That's it. This is a new level of crazy, and it's going to burn everything it touches. The OP replies, it's time to call in a friend, a close one. I would propose your mom, actually. Middle-aged women often have a magical violence desalting effect on unknown quantities. The point is someone calm, very calm. You don't need another voice here, you need a witness. I didn't tell my mom about any of this yet because she worries a lot about me and she already has a lot of issues going on, so I didn't want to put any more pressure on her. I think I have to call her now, though. I know for sure she'll have my back on this. Can you begin accumulating evidence she did not live there as of yesterday? Call friends and family who can verify you lived alone, or who can say where she lived. Instagrams of her taking pics of her place, Facebook posts where she indicates where she lives or implied is not with you. When I looked up in her Instagram account, I found lots of pictures in Arizona that she was dumb enough to have tagged with the location. The pictures were taken within the past month. I took screenshots as well as archiving them like a web version. I also wrote down a transcript of how the conversation went down when she called me asking to stay at my place and I refused. I've screenshotted the conversation with her friend as well. Another person chimes in, "Why didn't you follow the advice in the previous post and pursue a restraining order?" The OP replies, "I should have done that, but I didn't. Someone mentioned that I should try and contact one of her friends and family and let them try and talk to her, and so that's what I did. I'm hoping it works. If not, I'll go file the restraining order." Final update, December 10th, 2016, one day after the first update. First of all, I want to explain what happened. Apologize and thank all of you. Long story short, as soon as her boyfriend came in, she started crying hysterically. I told him that I'm video recording them through my phone, but they seemed uninterested in what I said. She started blaming him for all sorts of stuff. He kept apologizing a lot, and after what seemed like an eternity, she packed her stuff and they were both gone. Now, I've written down on a piece of paper all of your different advice. I'll file a restraining order against her. I'll also go file a police report and talk to the sheriff explaining everything that happened. I've documented all I could. I have screenshots of her Instagram account with the pictures tagged in Arizona, plus the video of her and her boyfriend arguing in my house and then packing and leaving together. My mom's main concern right now is getting the protective order ASAP and installing an alarm system in my house. She said she'll be staying with me until we can get a company to install an alarm system on Monday. Thank you guys for suggesting to call my mom. It made me feel safer while she was here. Apology. I know how annoying it was for you guys to keep giving me advice that I should file a restraining order and go to the police, only to find me not do any of them but invite a stranger to my house. My mom also pointed out how badly this could have gone with her boyfriend in coming here. One more person replied, "I've been thinking about this since I read it. Honestly, I hope it's fake. If the cop showed up and this lunatic told them she was a tenant, why would OP not say something like, 'Fine, prove to them you live here. Where's your lease? Where are your keys? Where do you sleep? Show them your license with this address. Show them a piece of your mail addressed here.'" The OP replies, "I wish you were there with me, man, and pointed those things out. It just took me off guard. I just stood there saying nothing. Anyway, I'm so lucky it didn't go worse. I'm just really relieved this whole thing is off my chest now. I'm truly thankful for each one of you." It's terrifying because it shows planning and zero respect for your safety or privacy. People who pull stunts like this are dangerous in the sense that they escalate boundaries until someone else gets hurt. She gambled on you freezing and you looking stupid, and on the cops backing off because she looked convincing enough. That behavior is insane, predatory, and unacceptable. You did nothing to deserve it. Protect yourself, document like mad, and treat her like the liability she is, not a friend. What would you do? And thank you for joining us today in the rLounge. Be sure to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on our next video. Until next time. And please put your chair back where you found it.